Isma'illi Shiites. Isma'ili Shiites are the next most significant minority within, or group within Shiite Islam. All right? They make up a much smaller percentage than the 12 Imam Shiites. They take their name from Ismail bin Ja'far, died 755, who is the eldest son of the 6th Shiite Imam, who is the Shiite Imam for both 12ers and Ismailis. Ismailis are sometimes known as 7ers, all right? Yeah. And they claim that although Ishmael had predeceased Ja'far as-Sadiq, he was nonetheless the rightful successor because his father had designated him. Designation is a huge, massive, important thing for the Shiites, all right? They had designated him, and that's actually what they claim. They claim that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had designated Ali ibn Abi Talib as his successor. Okay, so they followed Ismail's eldest son, Muhammad bin Ismail, and became independent from the majority 12er Shiites, who accepted Ismail's younger brother, Musa al-Qasim, as the 7th Imam. Basically, the debate here is, can an Imam change the designation? Can one Imam change the designation to another person, if that person? And the Ismailis said no, the 12ers said yes. All right, and so the Ismailis became a small group. Although they've been a small group, historically extremely important. Remember, we saw the Fatimid Caliphate. The Fatimid Caliphate was an Ismaili Caliphate. All right, and they arose about the same time the Buayyid Caliphate arose, and the Buayyids were a 12 Imam Shiite Caliphate. All right, the Ismaili population. Today they have small pockets in Pakistan and India, East Africa, Syria, Afghanistan, Tajikistan. In fact, many of them fled from Pakistan and India into Africa. So you'll find a lot of Ismailis today who you meet that they actually they will be kind of from India or Pakistan in origin, or South Asian, but actually they were born in Africa and they now live in North America. This is actually a very common trajectory that you'll find among a lot of Ismailis that we would encounter today. The majority of the Ismailis are the Nizari Ismailis who follow the Agha Khan, Karim Agha Khan, who was my father's, on the same floor as my father at Harvard when they were freshmen. Yes, my father said that the Agha Khan loved ice cream. And it was like the first time, and he had money, and so he just constantly was going out for ice cream when he first came to Harvard. Yeah, if you'd never had ice cream before, he was just like crazy about it. Yeah. So and then the Musta'li are a very small group, and they're the Dawoodi Bohris, and so they're known as the Bohri community, who are mostly in India and Pakistan. Now the Ismailis are very important today, because they are extremely well organized. Ismailis pay 10% of their income to say Ismaili coffers, and then they are used very well by the Agha Khan. And so there are Ismaili institutes that are in Canada, Ismaili institutes in London, in Germany. I'm not sure what city in Germany, in Paris. But they have these Ismaili institutes that fund scholarship and do some extremely important scholarship, not just for Ismaili Islam, but also for aspects of Sunni Islam and 12 Imam Shiism. They could be said to be probably the best organized among the Muslim communities today. The other thing that you will find is that this is where it gets into your questions of practice. Their practice is very different. The main thing with the Ismailis is that the Agha Khan is allowed to actually change the law. The Agha Khan can actually change the practice. And so Ismailis do not pray the 5 daily prayers. They have different exercises that they do in their temple. Recently, and a lot of people don't actually know this, recently the Agha Khan was trying to make moves to reinstitute the 5 daily prayers. But there was too much opposition. And so he's still kind of trying to do it lightly, but it's not happening. I have a friend who works at the Ismaili Institute in London who was asked to write out the document to explain to all of the Ismai'lis how to actually practice. They worked on it a little bit, but it didn't fully go through. Yes?
Politically, are they viewed then as a more liberal?
Very much so.
Okay.
Yeah, they're viewed as a more liberal group. You will have other Muslims who will say that they're not Muslims, but you also have Sunnis who will say that totally Imam Shiites aren't Muslims. But yes, they are viewed by a lot of people as being on the outside. But remember, I spoke to you before about that document called the Common Word. They actually got the Agha Khan to be one of the signatures to it, and so it was kind of a way to try to bring them into and viewing them as part of that larger community. Anne?
Were they going to reduce the number of prayers per day?
Well, they've already have. Yeah. No, they're trying to go back to what is considered to be, by Shiites and Sunnis, a more orthodox form of prayer. Yes?
How recently did this group form?
Oh, the Ismai'lis, I mean, they've been around since, I mean, you go back, and I mean, they've been around since this period, all right? But the exact way this is going to get us into very complicated history about it, because actually there was a group of Ismai'lis that just after the death of Muhammad bin Ismail, like, okay, that's it. But then there's another group that actually rose up later, and there's some questions as to the claims of descent. So it gets very complicated. Right?
So the Agha Khan, because this is about designation and like lineage, will the Agha Khan's progeny become the next leader?
Yes.
And okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the name of, that's his title, right? So the next one will also be the Agha Khan.
Yes, Agha Khan. So he's Kareem Agha Khan. His name.
Okay.
Yes.
The Ismai'lis close their temples. They're not open. Why is that? Do you know?
I don't actually know. I think that it's basically because they don't want other Muslims to come in and say this, that, and the other thing about what they're doing. And you know, historically, they've been a persecuted community, so they have reasons to want to stay behind closed doors.